sit a few minutes on that.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a short prayer and a salute to our flag. Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jessica, statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular agenda meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 12th day of May 2025 has been posted and advertised in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Balco.
Here.
Khaleesi.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Roberts.
Here.
Sinarski.
Here.
Zabrowski.
Here. Council President, approval of prior minutes.
Yes, Mayor. I move the following minutes of the Mayor and Council be approved on roll call vote, subject to correction if necessary, and we have the April 28, 2025 regular and agenda session.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balco.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes. At this time, Councilman Khaleesi, who's the liaison to police, fire, and first aid, will read an annual proclamation thanking the EMS service. Councilman?
Being that this is Emergency Medical Services Week, the proclamation for EMS goes as follows. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Saraville extend their sincere gratitude to all of these heroes who continue to sacrifice for the sake of residents of the Borough of Saraville and the country. Be it further resolved that he, Kennedy O'Brien, Mayor of the Borough of Saraville, join the state of New Jersey and the United States of America in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 18 to the 24th, 2025 as Emergency Medical Services Week.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept the proclamation. Second.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balco.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes. Okay, if there's nothing for executive, we'll go to old business.
Public hearing on the following ordinance number 25, Borough of Saraville, County of Middlesex, ordinance amending residency requirements for firefighters.
Are there any questions on this ordinance? Being no questions, I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Khaleesi.
I move the public hearing be closed. The ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Khaleesi,
Yes.
Valka,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Sinarski,
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 15-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration, subsection 2-41, Human Relations Commission of the Revised General of the Borough of Saraville.
This time I'm going to open the public portion for questions or comments. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor. Jim Robinson, Harlan. I do have a couple questions about this and some comments. You know, the Human Relations Commission came about as a direct result of the New Jersey law against discrimination. And reading from the ordinance, its purpose is to foster.
Can we just stop one?
I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Its purpose is to foster, through community effort or otherwise, goodwill, cooperation, and conciliation among the groups and elements of the inhabitants of the borough, and is empowered to make recommendations to the Borough Council for the development of policies and procedures in general, and for the programs or formal or informal education that will aid in eliminating all types of discrimination based on race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, age, marital status, gender, sexual orientation, or physical or mental handicaps of any individual, or because of the liability for service in the armed forces of the United States. Originally, in 1992, when this ordinance was enacted, the ordinance called for 7 members. In 94, because there was so much interest, so many people in town wanted to participate in this, it was expanded, it was increased to 15. Now, we're going to 8, which is a step backwards. And I would just mention that, you know, most boards, commissions have an odd number so that, you know, you don't run into a problem in case of a tie. But the purpose of this commission is so important, so vital, so necessary to promote understanding, goodwill, conciliation among people and groups in our town. Now, I understand, I've heard anyway, that we couldn't get enough people, that would be 8 to form a quorum. So we're lowering the number. And I really wish, instead of lowering the number, you would have worked to get more people involved. Who is the council liaison to this commission?
Council President Roberts.
Council President Roberts, okay. Well, Donna, you're great at social media. Did we do a significant social media?
Questions come through the chair, which is myself. So what are your questions?
Yes,
What is your question?
through the chair.
Fine.
Okay, Chair, Mayor, did Council President Roberts do a significant social media campaign to let people know that we were looking for more people on this important commission?
The nice thing about these commissions, boards and commissions, is that as the former councilman Jeff Pulowski once said, government is a living document. So just as we can contract it so that we can have a quorum to do business, we can expand it.
Thank you
So
for
that
that.
being said, we have advertised it as we advertise all boards and commissions for members. Currently, there is a problem with getting members in most of the boards and commissions.
Okay, so we didn't do any extensive advertising that something as important as this. I mean, did we reach out to, through the chair? Did anybody, you as the mayor or the chair of the committee, Councilwoman Roberts, reach out to churches or mosques or temples or veterans groups or schools or others saying we have this very important committee and it lacks members? I'm disappointed that we didn't do that because the purpose of this committee is pretty important. And you're right, when Jeff Pulowski was a member of the planning board, I told him many times that the master plan was a living document. That doesn't mean that we ought to we ought to not try and fill seats on committees, but it was a good save. Okay, I'm disappointed, I'm sorry that we couldn't fill these, and I wish we had worked a little bit harder to find members, because, you know, think about what this committee does, and it's so necessary in this town. If you're at the planning board meeting, or you're at the meeting for the mosque, or the temple a few years ago, you know how important that is. Disappointed, but
Mayor, can I
You
address
do what
Mr.
you're gonna do.
Robinson for 1 minute?
Go right ahead.
Jim, I was on the liaison, I'm sorry. Jim, good afternoon. I was the liaison last year, and we had the same issues last year, and I did a lot to try to get people reeled in to come and volunteer for this, and we always had a problem just making a quorum for the meeting. It's the same thing this year. It's not anybody's fault. I did not have social media. I didn't think it had last year. It's a pretty good idea, but last year we had the same issues.
yeah, I understand that. I'm just suggesting that we could have put a little effort into getting people, maybe at the polka event Sunday there would have been, or Saturday there would have been some people involved. But, okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Sasha.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on this ordinance? There being no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion. Council President.
I move the public hearing be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law. Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Falco.
Yes.
Malisi.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Public hearing on ordinance number 16-25, calendar year 2025, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
This time I'll entertain questions or comments on this ordinance. Jim?
Thank you, Mayor, and I appreciate that you'll entertain questions as well as comments on this ordinance. You know, exceeding the 2.5% cap is so unusual that the state makes towns pass an ordinance such as this before you can do it. We've all heard you're talking about, in fact, you're bragging about all the state grants that we get. But still, we need to exceed the cap. I saw that we just got a $1.6 million grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Fund, and that is to address the same area that there was a referendum to divert money from our open space fund a couple of years ago. And those of us who opposed it said, don't take money from open space, there are grants that are available. No grants, we were told. Well, lo and behold, we got $1.6 million grant, but still, we need to exceed the cap. And speaking of grants, the Historical Society requested a historical designation so that they can apply for grants to fix up the town hall and firehouse. With the exception of Mary and Dan, you refuse to do that. Of course, just like with the Weber Avenue, you tell us there are no grants available. So is there money in the budget to restore the firehouse, work that could have been paid for by the grants if it had a historical designation? And is that one of the reasons you need to exceed the cap, or will you steal money from the open space fund? I see that we got 20 or 23, I'm not sure what the number is, $1 million for selling the dump on Journeyville Road, but still, we need to exceed the cap. We were told how great the mega warehouse pilots were that provide so many well-paying union jobs when that pilot was approved, that the pilot would be a real shot in the arm for the town's economy. But still, we need to exceed the cap. By the way, those comments, some of you might remember, were made on April 29th, the day that will always be remembered in Sayreville as Dopey A-Hole Day. If the mayor didn't need 3, 4, or 5 mayoral chiefs of staff because there's a $50,000 increase in that line item, would we need to exceed the cap? Title 4A says that every municipality shall provide for the appointment of a municipal engineer. A, meaning one municipal engineer. For whatever reason, this year the mayor appointed 2 municipal engineers. Is that why we need to exceed the cap? And I said for whatever reason. I mean, there is a reason we have 2 engineers. After he got out of prison, the former Republican Ocean County chair could no longer practice law, so he had his friend set up an engineering firm for his wife and used his political clout to get municipal jobs. And on January 1st, the mayor recommended we hire that firm. So we have 2 municipal engineers, one based in Sayreville, CME, that employs mainly Sayreville residents, knows the town better than anyone, and one from Ocean County that the mayor appointed as a political favor. Is the political favor the mayor gave to the former Ocean County Republican chair one of the reasons we need to exceed the budget cap? The school board litigation over the bus depot is ending, no thanks to the mayor, so that should eliminate some cost, but we still need to exceed the cap. Trash collection for all the new apartments is now up to $700,000. Is that one of the reasons we need to exceed the cap? School crossing guards are down $90,000 with all the new traffic, funds for the people who help ensure our kids' safety, school crossing guards is cut. By the way, speaking of the police had to bring in an officer on overtime tonight so that one could be at this meeting. Is that why we have to exceed the cap? So that seniors can't commit insurrections at council meetings? Officers on overtime to come to council meetings. If we had something to show for it, I'd say fine. If we had a DPW garage, a community center, a facility for seniors, something to show for it. But what do we have to show? We have a dump at Bailey Park, and we have mega warehouses. You don't need to exceed the cap. You need to do a better job managing. Senior citizens on fixed incomes, young families just starting out, people who have real jobs that they need to show up for can't afford this. And by the way, so you can see, you cut this Office on Aging budget $50,000. That's really a nice thing to do to seniors.
Jim, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
The Board of Education increase was less than 2%, but you're going to be at 3.5. I suggest you stand up for the taxpayers and vote no on exceeding the cap.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for your time. Oh, by the way, I asked some questions. Will there be answers?
Let's hope so.
I'm sorry?
We'll work on it.
There are no answers to my questions tonight before you pass this ordinance? Will there be answers to the questions I
Somebody will
asked?
get
Mayor, when you started, you
Sit
said there
down.
are questions and comments.
You asked questions and then you kept talking. So somebody should get back to you.
You know when that will be?
Let my office know.
You don't know when that will be?
Well, I hope this coming week.
Thank you.
Are there any other? Ken?
Ken Olszewski, Sayreville. In the interest of time, I would just like to say most of the comments that Mr. Robbins made, I certainly agree with, and I think we need answers to. And I think exceeding the cap is just an excuse for bad government. But I'd like to look at one of the specifics on this that was just mentioned, and that's the mayoral aides. I believe we have 3 mayoral aides. I said I believe. I don't know, because we have a secret government for the first time in the history of the borough where you don't answer questions. So nobody really knows what goes on, and they probably, this is by design, so a lot of things you don't want us to know, which leads us to believe that a lot of the things are probably corrupt. Well, let's look at this mayoral aide thing. The reason the mayor gave that, he had 6,000 messages when he came back to office. Oh, really? 6,000 messages. I'm sure 80 or 90% of them, if there were 6,000 or 600 or 60,000 or 600,000, I'm sure most of them were spam. But, in junk mail. But, okay, of those messages, my question is, where are the people? Where are the people that left those messages that came to the council meetings and said, I left a message on the mayor's line, I never got an answer? Anybody have any answer to that?
What is
Because
what
this,
is the question?
the question is, where are the people that left those messages over the years, apparently the 4 years you were con mayor, and didn't get an answer? Nobody showed up. So I guess that means that they were really important. I guess that means they were true, that a lot of people left messages. Yeah, I believe in Santa Claus and Easter Bunny too.
Are you saying that everyone in Borough Hall is lying to you, Ken?
What I'm saying,
Is that what you're saying, that clerk's office-
it's not a valid reason. No, what I'm saying, Mayor, it's not a valid reason for hiring free agents.
Sands is lying to you? One of the most honored veterans in Saraville?
Who is lying? Who is
to you?
lying? We
All
can't
these
hear you,
people are
Mayor.
lying to you because, you're saying this is a phantom number? That's what you're saying? People lied to you?
I'm saying that it's not real because where are
And
they?
you're saying they're lying?
Where are they? Where, common sense, where
I
are
just
the
wanted that
people?
for the record.
Well, let's,
So,
no, I'm saying maybe you're lying to me, Mayor. No, not veterans, I don't know who you're talking about, I can't hear you. Because the acoustics aren't there.
So what you're saying is the most honorable people in the borough lied to you?
I'm saying you, if you consider yourself the most honorable person, I don't want to take my time. No, let's not play that game. Let's not take up my time. I want to ask you why we need mayoral aides. That's the next question. Why, you know who's responsible for day-to-day activities at Borough, Mayor? The guy sitting to your right, the business administrator. That's why he's been hired, and that's why he pays him. We pay him. And you know what? He has a bunch of people in this town that he can rely on. They're called department heads. And they're people like Gavin and Kirk Meck and Jen right here in the senior center, Chief Blumacher, Jessica and Nicole here. They're the people that the business administrator uses for that. I'm saying that you putting mayoral aides in is patronage, Mayor. That's what I'm telling you, and we're paying for it in the budget, and that's exceeding the cap. So if you didn't understand that, that's in plain language. You're putting patronage in there. You can get no reason to do that, Mayor, because you have adequate staff. This guy has adequate staff. Unless you're going to leave your patronage job in Trent and run the borough, then you can have aides and get rid of the VA. Oh, that would be fine. But that's the real problem. And these department heads, that I've worked with all of them, they've done a fantastic job. And one sitting right here in front of you, I especially would like to say, is Nicole. She gets back to me all the time. They all do. I can't say any of them. I especially single her out. So that's the kind of stuff that makes this budget exceed cap. I'm only singling one thing up. I don't know the stuff because, of course, who knows all the patronage that's in it. But this one is obvious. Anyone, a child could find that one, Mayor. So that's the real problem there. And I'm not only singling you out, I'm singling out your people here, Mayor.
It's 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'm singling out your people.
Thank you, Ken. It's 5 minutes.
Yeah, you took up half of my time, Mayor. Is that the game you're playing? You took up half of my time. It's dumb time. But these people here, the councilmen sitting here, your puppets, are just as responsible because they sit here and do nothing and allow that to happen. That's the game. And by the way, many people come to this microphone, you're giving much more time, Mayor, because I watch it on YouTube and I see it. It's more fake and phony. Thank you.
We're gonna have Helen come take you home.
You can have anybody you want come, Mayor. That's the kind of game you play. You usually bring the police up. You're the only mayor who's ever done it in the history of the borough. Thank you, Mayor. That's the scam. Thank you.
Come on, I'll put it real.
Hi, my name is Tom Fritzen, 143 Main Street. I've been before the council a lot of times with a couple of questions. I noticed during the budget, listening.
Tom, this part of the meeting is just about the budget.
Yes.
There will be other times which you can ask questions on any and all things.
Right, I'm asking a question about the budget.
Okay.
Because I noticed there's an increase in the police budget and also the dispatcher budget. And there's a decrease in the crossing guards budget. My question is the increase to the budget going to get us more traffic police and more traffic. Because I've talked to the sergeant of traffic, and there is a really serious speed problem throughout town, especially on Main Street. I've asked for the speed limit to be lowered, but it can't. So
Let me answer that for you, Tom.
I just
We're complete with your thought, yeah.
Yeah, I live on Main Street. Every night, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, I have cars zipping down Main Street in a very tight space. I have talked to the sergeant of traffic, and one of the things that he was saying to me is that they need more money for traffic. One of the things I've witnessed tons of accidents now in front of my house. One so accident that a car hit a pickup truck so hard it flipped the pickup truck. So you got to know how fast this car was going to get that to happen. I just want to make sure that we're going to look at the police budget smartly and let's make the streets a little bit more safer.
Okay, I can share with you that recently, in the last 2 or 3 months, the police chief combined 2 units together to create. So our traffic unit traditionally, in the many years that I worked there, had 3 bodies in it.
Right.
Over the last several years, we had another bureau evolve, community policing, which is very active and out there. But it was determined that there was enough time in their day that we could be redirecting them to traffic enforcement. That has begun. We hope that you'll see some positive results. If you have issues, I recommend that you continue your dialogue with Sergeant Braille. They can do some directed patrol. I could also tell you that the redevelopment agency is looking comprehensively at the downtown area, specifically with regard to pedestrian safety and traffic controls. There's been discussions with the county to lower the speed limit in that stretch of road. So steps are being taken. Unfortunately, things don't happen in a day or a week, but we're in those discussions. We're hoping to make some progress on that.
I know when I first came up to the board about this situation, I was told that the speed limit on Main Street can't change because it's a county road.
Well, we can't change it.
Yeah,
We can petition the county to do that. And
I don't care what the speed limit is, has to be enforced. Because even if you
Understood.
lower it to 35 or lower it to 25, it's not going to make a difference as far as I'm concerned.
Understood.
The only thing that would make a difference, and I don't want to see this happen, is put speed bumps in.
Yeah, enforcement and deterrence are the keys. Speed bumps are something that, in the experts in traffic, which I am not, indicate that they actually cause more accidents than they prevent. But more enforcement is certainly in order, and we'll have that discussion with the chief and make sure that you see some more visible presence down there, particularly if you have any times of day where it's happening with any kind of repetitive nature.
I work from home, I can tell you all day.
All day. We'll pass that
In
along.
fact, I've also called the police department a couple of times in the past couple of weeks because somebody at 2 o'clock in the morning ripped past my house, went into the parking lot, at town hall, did a couple of donuts, and then ripped past my house to the other. And it's just, it's out of control.
All right, we'll have that discussion with the chief tomorrow, and hopefully you'll see an improvement.
I can deal with the popping and all that kind of stuff, but the speed is what scares me.
Understood.
Yeah. It's also funny that Journey Mill MacArthur is 25 miles per hour, and there's nobody there, because all the houses, unfortunately. And Main Street is very populated, and it's 35, so it's kind of weird.
We're working on it.
30
Yes.
years.
But,
30 years they've been working on it.
yeah,
Mr. Kelly, Tom Kelly, you remember, he's been like this.
Hold on, folks. One person at a time.
yeah. I mean, I've been living in that spot for 20 years now. And just recently, I would say over the past 10 years, it's gotten severely worse. So, and I know the population of Sayreville has increased, and that's the reason why I'm thinking we're seeing an increase. But I just want to make sure that the police budget is being allocated in the proper directions.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions or comments on the budget? Being no other questions on the budget, I'll entertain a motion. Councilman Bell.
Move the public hearing be closed, the orders adopted on second final reading and advertised according to law.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call?
Councilperson Balca?
Yes.
Khaleesi?
Yes.
Novak?
I'm going to vote no, only because when we introduced it at the last meeting, it was my understanding, we have always done this ordinance every year, because what we don't use, we can bank. And as far back as when Wayne was CFO, we were doing this every year. And it was my understanding that we actually weren't using it, this was just a precautionary. But I found out tonight that we are in fact using some of it. So I'm going to vote no on it.
Roberts.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open the public portion on resolution.
Before you go there, Mayor, I do have an appointment.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So tonight, I would like to appoint Ron Green for the 5-year member of the Housing Authority. I make a motion to appoint.
Is there a second? Second.
I'm sorry.
Roll call.
What is she pointing to? I couldn't hear. I heard Ron Green to us. Oh, housing, okay.
Motion made and seconded. Roll call.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balba.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Anything else, Council President?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. With that, I'll open the public portion for questions or comments on resolutions. Are there any questions or comments? Being no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion. Council President.
I move the public hearing be closed and the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote.
Is there a second? Second. Roll call.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balba.
25106. You abstain on Adelak's, yes on all areas.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
I need a motion to accept the correspondence.
Donna.
I make a motion to accept the correspondence as listed. Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Roberts.
Yes.
Balba.
Yes.
Khaleesi.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Sinarski.
Yes.
Zabrowski.
Yes.
Okay, Mayor and Council reports, Administration and Finance, Councilman Balco.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Everyone is working hard to reduce the budget and minimize the tax increase, and we will have an amendment to the budget at our next meeting. Other than that, progress.
Planning and Zoning, Councilman Zabrowski.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. First, a belated Happy Mother's Day to all mothers that are here on the dais, plus also those in our community, our grandmoms, moms, aunts, nieces, and all those who care for others. The Planning Board, just an update. Last Wednesday, the Planning Board met on the application for the mosque. Both the applicant and the citizens rested. The next meeting for the mosque, which will be a vote, will be June 4th. I just have two questions. One is a follow-up to Justin. About a month ago, I had asked about the construction equipment and the construction center, the cement barriers and stuff, which was under the Bordentown Avenue Bridge over the Route 9. Do you have an update on the status of that?
Yes, we spoke with the DOT, and they're expected to be out there by the end of June.
Thank you. And one other question. We received a complaint by a resident who lives on Kenneth Avenue. It sounds to me it was a request, and we've all known that intersection of Burlew, Bordentown, and Kenneth is a very difficult intersection. I do know that the NJDOT had been planning on a complete rehabilitation of that area. Jay, is there an update on that status at all?
There's not an update. They had, I think, an information presentation to the residents of the area. They were going to review comments, but I haven't heard anything as far as scheduling any plans for future improvements.
If you don't mind, if I gave you that citizens' information, would you be able to at least point them in the right direction for them to be able to put those comments out to the NJDOT?
Yeah.
Other than that, Mayor, progress? Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety, Councilman Khaleesi.
Okay, so we did the proclamation for emergency services, which is very nice. Thank you for your service. And My next report from Office of Emergency Management from Director Chris Bardsley. That's progress. And the next update is from the Fire Department, from Chief George Gavrin. Also progress. So, but thank you, George, for it's also Public Works Week. So thank you for your service in that and everything that you do. The next and final report is from Chief Plumacher from the police. So this week marks the beginning of National Police Week. So it's a time to honor the courageous men and women who dedicate their lives to protecting our communities. Designated in 1962 by President John F. Kennedy, this week serves as a national recognition of law enforcement professionals across the country, culminating in Peace Officers Memorial Day on May 15th. On this day, we pay tribute to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Saraville Police recently held their annual police memorial service where our community came together to remember and honor fallen officers. This solemn occasion is more than just tradition. It's a reflection of gratitude and respect for those who have served and those who continue to stand in defense of public safety. I want to add that prior to the ceremony, I had the honor to attend an award ceremony which began with the message from Chief Plumacher to the men and women of the department. The Saraville PBA President, Patrolman Kyle Krasnowski, along with other officers, presented and recognized acts of exceptional service and dedication, which included a message of support and wellness from Dr. Julie Tropiano, who's the department's wellness coordinator. Additionally, I had the privilege of attending our PBA retirement dinner, recognizing officers whose dedication has shaped the department and strengthened our town. These moments remind us that police work is not just a profession. It's a calling that demands courage, commitment, and an unwavering dedication to service. Beyond honoring our officers, we must also ensure they have the resources needed to maintain their physical, mental, and emotional well-being. The Saraville PD recently launched an important wellness initiative, providing officers and their families with 24/7 access to the Cortico app. Law enforcement has traditionally carried a push-through-it mindset when facing stress and trauma, but we now recognize that this approach is no longer sustainable. Mental health and resilience is crucial to a long, successful career in policing. Through the partnership with Lexapol and Cortico app, offers confidential personalized support, daily wellness tools, and a one-click crisis assistance feature, ensuring that our officers have the help they need when they need it. By encouraging a proactive approach to wellness, this initiative strengthens job satisfaction, career longevity, and overall well-being with the department. In addition to my report, I would like to add that public safety is rooted in community and Operation Snow Cone, which was hosted by Saraville Historical Society on May 3rd, beautifully demonstrated this connection between our town's history and included law enforcement. This special event showcased letters written by Saraville service members during World War II, offering insight into the experiences of young men and women who bravely served our nation. Some of these letters were read aloud by guest speakers, bringing history to life in a deeply meaningful way. I want to acknowledge Patrolman Tom Calisi, a U.S. Army veteran and Saraville police officer, who had the honor of reading a letter written by Raymond Sweeney, a young service member who later became Saraville's third chief of police in 1963. It was a powerful moment, an opportunity for the police department to pay tribute to one of their own and recognize the lasting legacy of service within Saraville. In closing, National Police Week is more than a commemoration. It's a reminder of sacrifices made, the service given, and the commitment we owe to those who protect us. And through our memorial service, our mental health initiatives, and events like Operation Snow Cone, we reaffirm our promise to build stronger, safer, and more connected Sayreville. To our officers and community members, and to all who support public safety, I extend my sincerest gratitude. Your dedication makes all the difference. Thank you for your service. That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Public Works, Councilwoman Novak.
Thank you, Mayor. Almost everything that goes on in this town, whether it be the fishing derby, which was absolutely spectacular, and God had a hand in the beautiful weather, or the police memorial, which was a very moving ceremony. Ray Skarzinski and I have been attending that. We haven't missed a year since I think it was 1996. But every single thing that happens in this town, at one point or another, touches Public Works, which I'm in charge of. Whether it's the road department or the parks department, they go above and beyond with every single, whether it's an event or it's cleaning up a park or whatever, they have a hand in everything. And I know Chief Plumaka did thank the Parks Department for the wonderful work they did, you know, making sure everything was clean. And I just like to say, whenever you see a Public Works guy, no matter what they're doing, tell them they're doing a good job, because they really are. They have a hand in absolutely everything we do this year. I wish the fish were biting a little more. I understand that if we have this in the evening, you're going to have more fish biting. I don't know that much, but the evening before there was a lot more fish being caught in the pond than there was the day of the thing. Also, I'd like to thank EMS, as many of you know. That's something that's very close to my heart. I was an EMT since I was 15. Well, excuse me, I was a first aider since I was 15. I was 21 when I became an EMT. And it's been over 50 years. And being a volunteer, being an EMT the training is astronomical. But being a volunteer and doing it is really a labor of love. Nobody does that for, there's no paycheck, there's no reward other than knowing that we help somebody. Even if, I remember a couple of times I was on the ambulance with Glenn, and the favorite thing was people would ask me to say a prayer with them, right, Glenn? You said, how do people know? No matter what it is you do for somebody like that, it's really, these EMTs, they put in so much more training than I had to do back in the early days. So it really is a labor of love, and everybody really should thank our volunteers in this town, whether it's first aid or fire. They do an exemplary job, and it's all from here. Now I'm going to deviate from my Public Works for a minute. About 6 weeks ago, I made a motion that because of all of the complaints about the range, that we should see something about, I said, to have the engineers look and see what we could do as a sound barrier. I mean, there was some talk, planting trees, berms, and stuff like that. I understand from the business administrator that the engineer had decided that trees just weren't going to do it. Is that correct? Correct. Okay. So we're looking at $180,000 for a soundproofing wall. Now, since then, I've also learned that the complaints seem to be centered when not the Port Authority that actually pays to use our range, but the state police, who we let them use it as a favor. They do not use suppressors on their weapons, whereas Sayreville Police and Port Authority uses suppressors, which makes it a lot quieter. Port Authority has been there every day with absolutely no complaints. But I still think that the soundproofing wall is needed. And I would like the council to agree to let the business administrator and the chief of police or whoever in the department, one of the captains, works with Port Authority, finding out because Port Authority has already paid between $350,000 and $400,000 for the use of that range. I'd be sad to see that disappear. And I also understand that they would be willing to pay a substantial amount towards that wall, which is going to help us all, because even if it's not loud enough for people to call and complain, it still is like people in Laurel Park must hear it even with the suppressors. So I really would like to invest in this wall. It would help everybody, and then we can also put some trees around it because we have all that money in shade tree to make it look pretty. And I'd like the council to authorize the business administrator to work with Port Authority. They would like a more permanent contract, and they'd be perhaps willing to pay for some, if not all of this wall. So I'm not saying we have to do anything, but I'd really like to authorize them to start doing that because it would benefit all the residents in town. I can hear the firing when it's the state police. Mayor, I believe, one other thing, I do this once a month, and I know it's not going anywhere, but I would really like to make a motion that we give historical,
What's the motion?
to designate the old firehouse as historical property in the borough of Sarah.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded, roll call.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Balca,
Yes.
Khaleesi,
Not yet.
Roberts,
No.
Sinarski,
No.
Zabrowski.
No.
Okay.
Mayor, I just want to know, I didn't hear any kind of response from the council, and I like to hear something. Do we authorize the business administrator to work on that, having Port Authority pay for part of that wall to benefit all the residents in town?
I didn't hear what you said.
About the wall at the range.
I'm asking that the council authorize the business administrator to work with the police department.
Mary, why don't we just have Glenn look into it?
Well, yeah, but the council has to authorize him to work out some kind of deal, because it's my understanding that that deal was pulled off the table entirely.
Give me the microphone. Glenn, you want to respond? Mary, half of what you're saying, these are not great microphones. What is it you want Glenn to do?
I just want him to work with the police to set up a permanent contract with the Port Authority and work with them to pay for part of this wall, as well as the fees that they're paying for the use of the range, because it's going to benefit us all, every resident of the town.
That's an extension of the MOU to Port Authority operations. You do have to reauthorize.
Okay. I don't think it's possible because we're not voting to reauthorize the MOU.
Well, that's what I'm asking, for him to do that.
You
'Cause
are you looking to make a motion, Mary?
If it's necessary, yes. I make a motion that we authorize the business administrator to work on an MOU and include in that not only the cost of what they pay to use the range, but also pay for a part, if not all, of the soundproofing for that range.
What is the motion?
The motion is to authorize me to move forward with engagement with the Port Authority to see what kind of deal we can strike, not only for the fees for the use of the range, but also for them to play a proportional share of the cost of a sound attenuating wall.
That's the motion, Mary?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Being no second, the motion doesn't move forward. Anything else, Mary? No. Thank you. Water, sewer, and environmental, Councilman Sinarski.
Thank you, Mayor. The first thing I want to bring up on the water department, I just want to remind all residents that the water level in the aquifers in Dewhurter Lake are all low. We're not in any kind of drought situation, but if we continue to go at this level, we are going to go into a drought. The water department produced 175 million gallons of water last month in April, and that's like up 20% 1 month from what it was the previous month. Their fire hydrant flushing is complete. That's all done. It's all scheduled. They're continuing all their pump station maintenance. I went on all the tours. I told you of the pump stations, everything else. I'm very happy and pleased the way everything is running in the water and sewer. They have their standard amount of breakdowns, water plugs, sewer plugs, and a lot of them aren't our problem, it's residential problems. So that's moving forward with that. The second thing is the community garden. The community garden was opened April 26th. On May 10th, they just received the delivery of mushroom compost. They're adding that to all of their beds. There's 41 available beds that are filled up and have been assigned. There's a waiting list right now. There's some more beds that the borough has to build. We have a couple that aren't paid yet, but most of the beds are full. They're moving forward there. I was actually in there Saturday and I looked at everything. There's some people that do have stuff planted already, but they're moving forward. The next thing I want to bring up is I'd like to amend an ordinance 83-3. It's for the mobile P1 food vendors. Right now, there's only 2 mobile vendors in the town. We have one on Bordentown Avenue, you have Bear's Hot Dog, you had another one on Lower Main Street by the Quick Check. P2. Okay, I'm sorry. So I think there's an addition of just a few more would be all right to put on. I would have asked for 2, possibly 3 more to be added. That would give us a total of 4 or 5. There's 2 on there right now. So that's what I'm asking for.
Okay. Anything else, Councilman?
No, that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Recreation, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. First, Mary, thank you for your service as an EMT. On this day, we recognize you. I do have quite a few things to mention. There are unfortunately too many examples of how neglected some of our most precious natural resources were in past administrations, and I'm proud of how this administration has recognized the need and is actively working to finally take care of properties and natural resources. So the first is the $1.57 million grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation's National Coastal Resiliency Fund to complete the engineering design for restoring 188 acres of South River wetland ecosystem and habitat. We're handling the priority of flood and habitat before moving towards passive recreation, which we'll continue with. We're also finalizing a $3 million plan to renovate Bailey's Park. Things may be in disarray, but this is a group of problem solvers here. We have a plan funded through Green Acres and other funding, so we've started with $975,000 from Green Acres to support enhancement at Bailey's Park, as well as $750,000 in state money under Jake's Law to have playgrounds for all accessibility levels. We also have the construction of 6 new pickleball courts in Veterans Park with a walkway improvement slated for upcoming months. It's nice that this is moving particularly quickly because pickleball is in high demand. And I was given the Polish for pickleball. I'll give it a shot. Orki Duka. So if I'm wrong, I'm sure my Polish cohorts will let me know. We've also received grants to widen walkways and improve bathrooms in Kennedy Park. Bathrooms are near complete and we'll start pathways soon. And Jay, I'd like to ask you just for a short update on that particular project, please. Mayor, if that's all right.
Go right ahead.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The Kennedy Park Walkway Project, the plans have been prepared and they've been submitted to Green Acres for review. So we're waiting for their comments before we can proceed with bidding that project.
Thank you, Jay. Also, Mayor, these are some of the things that you have handled in your newsletter, but it's just so important. I want to reiterate that we are eliminating registration fees and uniform costs for children who want to participate in municipal-run sports leagues. And this perk, just so you know, is only available for the local programs in Sayreville and is not for travel programs. This is really a great example of how we can provide services for our residents without raising taxes and having funding potentially through public-private partnerships. And I will take grants every day, twice on Sunday, but we still have the responsibility to manage and maintain all of our resources and not let them fall in disrepair as they did for so many years. And I don't recall ever saying that we didn't have opportunities for grants in any of these areas, but there is other maintenance that we have to address. Now, having said that, in addition to the large-scale projects and ongoing maintenance of parks, that we plan to upgrade or improve 2 to 3 neighborhood parks annually. And our parks professionals, as Mary has said many times, are doing a great job on all of these, including our large-scale projects. Tuesday, we have opening bids for the US Complex. This has been in the pipeline for 5 to 6 years. We've been accumulating funds gradually by grants. The pricing went up, and we are now able to move forward and start awarding the contract. And we will be seeing state-of-the-art baseball field and a multi-purpose field. And once again, Mayor, if you would indulge me, I'd like to ask Jay to give us an update on the firehouse.
By all means.
Thank you.
At the present time, our office is finalizing the plans for the environmental cleanup of the firehouse. We're expecting to have those completed this week. We're going to then send them over to the architect for his review, just to make sure proper coordination. And with regard to the building itself, the architect is currently finalizing the concept plan for the layout of the building.
Thank you, Jay. And just a couple of other things to wrap things up. As we've moved the garden to its forever home and it's now open, it's really a beautiful backdrop for the very popular farmers market that takes place on Thursdays. This past week was both the police retirement dinner and the annual police memorial ceremony, which was very well attended. We also have the Junior Police Academy sign up, and this is a great program. I've had the privilege to attend the graduation ceremony. It's amazing to watch the young boys turn into real leaders. Councilman Sinarski and I attended Mrs. Ferrari's History of New Jersey class, and I want to thank Mrs. Ferrari for that opportunity. The students and youth of this town are really engaged and very open-minded, and I'm very grateful for that. The fishing derby was a wonderful recreation and police partnership. It was a beautiful day out if you were there. Attendance was amazing. It was the highest since pre-COVID, with a total of 126 participants. Prizes were awarded, and there's always a special thank you for Officer Fisher. Also on that same day, there was a community cleanup. OLB and the high school academic competition team were both there. And from the previous cleanup, you may be able to see that there was two of our students that are the stallions in track and field were able to rescue a fish out of a plastic bag. So that was an actual real world example of how we have to maintain our environment and keep our parks clean. We also had our Memorial Day parade on May 26th, and immediately after that, the VFW Post 4699, our local VFW, which is located on Journey Mill Road, is hosting a family event. It's designed to get our community involved in a memorable day out and support the VFW and our local heroes. We have Independence Day on June 28th at Kennedy Park. And just to wrap up, I do have follow-ups with the mayor's office on some community questions and requests, and when I get answers to those, the requesters will get those first, and we may share them at a future meeting. Lots of progress, Mayor.
Thank you, Council President.
Yes.
With that, we'll go to the general discussion items.
Excuse me, Mayor, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
One more thing I'd like to address. This Sunday, we had the BIC Cerebral Brain Injury Children Fishing Tournament at Kennedy Park. Also, we had over 40 participants, and there were smiles, and kids had fun all day. I want to thank all the volunteers from Cerebral BIC. I want to thank the Knights of Columbus guys that were there with me. Also, Cerebral Police showed up, and I want to thank them for coming also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sash. And thank you for all you do for the special children in our town.
Thank you, Mayor.
And with that, we'll go to general discussion items, administration and finance.
Application for a social affair permit received from St. Stanislaus Custa RC Church to serve beer and wine at the annual parish carnival on June 19th to the 21st from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Any objections? Next item.
Application for a place-to-place transfer received from Marula 3, which is a pocket license, and to place it at 777 Washington Road at the Pizza Heaven. And also the application for waiver of compliance with ordinance 6-5.8 to locate within 2,000 feet of another plenary retail license premise.
Did this go through PD?
I don't think I got a response yet, but I'll get a response before then.
We have to hold it until we get it.
Yeah, it's for the right zone. They did get all the paperwork.
Okay. Anything else?
One more thing. Authorization to approve change order number 1 for AC Schultes for the Duherno Well Maintenance and Redevelopment Services, which increases the contract amount from $722,350 to $894,667, which represents a net increase of $172,317.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, business administrators report?
Just two quick things, Mayor. Number one, there'll be an upcoming hearing, or public information session by the Army Corps of Engineers explaining their project to search for and locate any unexploded ordnance from the Gillespie explosion that was around the World War I era. There'll be no disturbance to anybody's property, no digging. They're going to employ ground penetrating radar, but anybody living in the affected areas is encouraged to tune into that or show up to the meeting. There'll be 2 sessions. I don't recall the date, but they are posted. And the second thing, I was asked by our recycling coordinator to remind everybody that shortly we'll be under the new contract with the county for recycling. They'll be rolling out 90-gallon cans for recycling, which are very similar to our green cans that we use for trash. That's part of the program. One will be provided to every household in the borough, and more information on that will be forthcoming. Yeah, it is mixed recycling. Everything goes into the 190-gallon bucket. There's no need to pre-sort it other than what you normally do with your recycling.
Okay, CFO's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Progress.
Okay, borough engineers report.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items this evening. The first is the New Jersey Transportation Trust Fund. They're accepting application for grant applications for road improvements. Last year, we received approximately $400,000 for Johnson's Lane. We're looking for an authorization to prepare an application, and we'll review possible roadways with the Public Works Director and your administrator. And the second item is the MCUA is looking to do repairs to their dewatering facility. Because the project is located in Saraville, the DEP requires a resolution for the town supporting the project so they can submit their application. So we're looking for that resolution. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Borough attorney's report.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, this time I'm going to open the public portion for question and comments on any and all things. Jim.
Thank you very much, Mayor. First, I want to thank you for so graciously letting the other 2 speakers exceed their time. That was very kind of you. Even answered some questions. Councilwoman Novak, I'd like to thank you for your suggestion on the wall. Those gunshots can be heard all over town, and it is annoying. I'm sorry that nobody else saw fit to second that motion. Perhaps if you had suggested Mexico pay for the wall, and the Republicans would have liked the idea. Maybe next year there will be somebody up there that can second motions for you, especially like that. I want to talk a second about the Bailey Park dump. That's the facility on Cheesequake Road where we've allowed a contractor to dispose of God knows what there. It's a disgrace. Originally, when this was approved, I questioned it. I asked the mayor, and we were told they were going to store equipment there, pipes and things like that. Now, it's an illegal dump site. April 11th, I wrote to the business administrator early April, and then again, April 11th, he told me that they would be out of there in about a month. Well, yesterday was a month. They are still there. This is an illegal dump. It violates state law and Green Acres regulations. I saw a press release was put out the other day talking about how popular that park is. Perhaps it's popular with contractors looking to dump oil-stained macadam, but certainly isn't popular with the public. And are we going to do an environmental impact report before the contract or immediately after the contractor leaves there? That's a question.
Go ahead.
Please pause my time.
There's no recalling your time. If you pass the mic down.
Okay, and then I can tell you this. We talked about the grant. The state won't release the grant fund. You won't get a dime of money for that project unless this is cleaned up and unless we know that the area is clean. Have they posted a bond? That's another question, but since it counts to my time, you can please answer that at the end. And has everybody gone down there and see what that looks like? Has everybody gone down there? Mayor, have you been down there and see what that looks like? You proud of that? Okay, by the way, with that gas revitalization problem in Morgan, are they going to do a curb-to-curb replacement on the Macadam? That's the question. And you know, about a month or two ago, I got a call from somebody saying we were making progress on the school bus depot. I was very happy, especially in one of the areas that I had first suggested. Now I'm hearing that there are issues over who gets the political credit for it. Come on, let's resolve this. Don't care about who gets the political credit for it. Please resolve this school bus depot issue for the people. Oh, by the way, I mentioned before that there was an officer on overtime. I couldn't see that there were two officers here. I didn't mean to slight one of the officers. There are 2 officers. 3 officers were called in on overtime. I guess it's as a result of Captain Castlebrandt's directive saying that no matter what else is going on in town, there better be officers at the council meeting. I'd like to know who asked him to send that. I feel like Ross Baraka here sometimes with the amount of police that are here at meetings to prevent senior citizens from doing God knows what. Over the weekend, 3 different people asked me where they could find the budget on the website. It's there, but you have to search for it. In fact, I had to call somebody to find it. I would suggest that since there's an interest in that, and since it's so important, and since it's so late, the latest in the borough's history, and since we're exceeding the cap, that you make that easy to find. Put it right on the front page, maybe over by Conversations with Kennedy or something, so it's easy for people to find. And, you know, some council people, especially this year, are posting more about borough business under their title, councilwoman, for instance. Deleting comments or turning off comments. I've been contacted by somebody who wants to initiate litigation. There's a First Amendment group that do this pro bono. Now, I'm not involved with this. I was contacted. I'm not pushing this. But I want people to know they should seek some advice on deleting comments or turning off comments on social media posts about borough activities, especially when they use their official title. Is my time up? Okay. Should I go back to my seat to wait for the answers, or?
Somebody will get back to you.
Well, how about now? You answered the other gentleman's questions now. I'd like to know the answer to my questions, Mayor. If you're not capable of answering, the ordinance says the administrator is supposed to answer questions at the council meeting. I'd like the administrator to answer the questions I've asked about the dump at Bailey Park and the gas revitalization problem, and whether or not that is going to be cleaned up. Mayor, I know you don't know the answer to the questions, but the administrator should. Mr. Skarzinski, the ordinance says you're supposed to answer questions at the meetings. Would you please do that?
Come on.
Would you please answer those questions?
Take your seat, Jim. Take your seat. Take your seat.
Will somebody please answer my questions? The people are entitled to answers, Mayor.
Take your seat.
You know, that Bailey Park isn't the only thing that's a disgrace in this town.
Jim.
A governing body that won't answer questions is a disgrace in this town. A disgrace. And I hope you're proud.
Thank you, Jim. Take your seat.
You're welcome.
Landon, if you would, please.
As it regards to Bailey Park, that site use was negotiated probably 3 years ago under another administration. I'm sorry, I'm giving you an answer. I didn't interrupt you. Please give me the same courtesy.
I was correcting you, not interrupting.
Well, you're incorrect again, and I'll continue to explain why. So that was under a previous administration. We became aware of it. The work was ongoing. In order to expedite the completion of the work, we let it continue as it wasn't getting out of hand. It then became out of hand. We were contacted by the DEP, and the DEP's only question was when would the material be removed and where the material was going. They were furnished with that answer this week. Moving forward, we were advised that we can continue moving forward if the need arises to store materials like that on Green Acres property. However, in advance of that, we have to get a temporary waiver from DEP, which they will gladly provide to us. And with regard to the environmental study, I will discuss that with Jay as we further develop plans to go operational on the Bailey Park project. There is no interruption in the disbursement of funds from Green Acres as a result of that material being present in the park.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Ken?
Thank you, Mayor. Ken Olszewski, Cyril. The acoustics in here is horrible, and when I was up before, Mayor, I didn't hear a damn thing what you said, but I just want to make sure that you're not trying to twist any of my words. The only person I accuse of not telling the truth about mayoral aids is you, Mayor, and you have a record of not telling the truth about a lot of things. So please don't twist any of my words. I'd like to review some of the things that the mayor has said. I think Jim talked about it before, calling members of the public a-holes, calling them dopey people with no lives, people that come here. Getting rid of Zoom, despite the fact that a veteran who was a former councilman who was injured in his duties asked that Zoom be held, because even he had a problem making meetings sometime, and the handicapped, etc., you take the ability away from them. These are just some of the things the mayor has done. And you know what? Enough about the mayor, but your cronies here on the council, Mayor, the four of them, Donna, the council president, Mike, John, and Stash, they've sat here and let those things go on. So they're as guilty as everything that you've done. They're every bit as guilty to allow that to happen. They're not real council people. They're fake council people. And I say that being the councilman because I was here for real councilmen. I was here back when Harold Bain was a councilman, and Ray Presnell, and Eddie Dushko, and Pat Latham, and on and on and on to Wisniewski, and the people he served with, Kabursky, Kenny Buchanan. They would have never tolerated the things you're doing and holding secret government. They would have walked out, but they have no courage. I'm sure their families are really proud of them. Their parents, their children, their neighbors, I'm sure they're really proud of them, because the group of you are certainly disgusting people for trying to represent Cyril. All of you. Thank you so much for that. Yes, yeah, thank you. And you're smiling about it, Mike? You should be smiling about it. You should be walking out. You should be so embarrassed. And the resolution on the firehouse. You know, thank you, Mary, and thank you, Dan. This is not the first time that came up and you turned it down. And Mike here and Stash, I remember the last time, they said, not yet, not yet. Okay, when is it? When you suck all the money out of the barrel. Is that when it's going to be? When you suck every dime out of the barrel instead of trying to get grants. In other words, you're saying that Art and Frank and the Board of the Historical Society, you know, they're just apparently what the mayor says. They're a-holes and dopey people with no life. They don't know anything, but you know everything. The only thing you sit here and do is press releases, and when the mayor says speak, then you speak. I'm really proud of that group. That is a disgusting thing. I've been to council meetings and going to them from when I was high school. Never have I seen anything like this. It's pathetic.
You want to leave the mic on the
I
side?
will be.
Just real quick, my chief of staff is a fellow by the name of Ken Kelly. He's a very respected and revered patriot, veteran, former commander of the VFW, a very distinguished retired police officer, and I have checked with him about if the veterans have any issues with the way I run a meeting and the way things are going in the borough, and he said absolutely not, they're very satisfied. according to the Veterans Alliance. That being said, young man, come on up.
Folks, pardon my appearance.
Please state your name and address, please.
Is it on?
Yes.
I'm not a resident anymore.
Where do you live, sir?
Now I live in New York.
Okay.
My name is Kenneth Ciccalella. Kenneth Ciccalella.
Okay, how can we help you?
Well, first of all, struck a chord when you talked about the speed limits. For 30 years, we've been trying to get them. I was doing it with Bart Minsky, okay, 20 years ago, because they're flying down past the high school at 45 is the speed limit, and they're going 70. But nobody still did anything? You gotta be kidding me. But that's, anyway. I'm glad I finally got to say something for that. I was a contractor here for 15 years. Many of you I worked for, many of your family members, police officers, teachers, principals, anyway. Mayor, you were mayor back in 2005, 2006, when there was a problem at the high school with the $47 million grant. And Jeffrey Bertram was your business administrator. And when I went to court for Matthew Imparato and Michael DiGiannato, I got shoved down the stairs by Mr. Bertram. And I didn't know he was the boss then. But I can't even begin to tell you in words the retaliation since then, what I've been through. Now, my ex-brother-in-law, Lieutenant Thomas Pavlik Jr., okay, there's no question. He has information about what I'm talking about, okay, because we were best friends. It was all pushed under the carpet by the BA. It don't go up to nobody because it all gets squashed, you know, former cops, okay? I'm the guy, if you don't remember, a $12 million dispatch machine you had to buy because of me, because all the dispatch tapes got destroyed when they pulled me over after I filed an internal affairs complaint. Ruined my business, ruined my life with my kids. And you all people could look at me and you know exactly what I'm talking about. The corruption is going to stop. I promise you, we are going to get to the bottom of what happened with that high school. And the Brand Money and Bertrand was doing his addition on his house. Down he was doing, it was ridiculous. That man shoved me, then put every detective he could, okay? Timmy Brennan, okay? Rusty Anderson. I got a pile of paperwork that I don't even want to go through anymore. But I wish I knew what I know now, because I would have been here first. Because this board needed to know. They let a good citizen like myself, a soccer coach like Erla, we coached hand in hand together. Over some corrupt, and I can only imagine what else you guys have done. Besides that, because I know it was the grant money and the permits weren't ready. You know, we all know the story. Well, I knew too. I got told firsthand because I was a builder here for 15 years. I was one of the top 3 contractors in this town. Dynamic Home Improvements. I got thrown out. So what is to happen when the corruption is so deep, okay, that the boss of the town can do whatever the hell he wants, and there's no repercussions? Because that's what I went through over 20 years, and it still goes on till today. I'm trying to get internal affairs complaints for something that happened last week. Not in this borough, but the communications and correspondence. So I want to thank you for your services, because I know that this isn't all you do. But I also wanted to say thank you for your time. But understand that we're the people that pay the bills here. We're the people that pay you guys, pay the borough, our taxes. You know, we're talking about the speed limit. I didn't even talk about my house, okay? After I stood up for Matthew Imparato, my house got hit by a truck and my father got killed on his motorcycle in 1 week. You think that's not possible with a $47 million issue with this town, and that's just one issue? Come on, people killed for less. $200, who knows, whatever. But anyway, I had tried to get the speed limits on Pulaski. That car hit 110 miles an hour. Jay Roberts, who knows who he was. I pray to get an investigation into my father's death. That's my goal. I want it valid. Mr. Zembrowski knows knows about all of this. He was chief at the time. All I want is an investigation into my father's death because it had to do with this borough. I don't know what happened with the girl that got shot. God rest her soul, but there's nefarious stuff that has to be straightened out, and it can't be straightened out by the boss, who, Mr. Skorzinski, was my old neighbor. You were on North Edward, I don't know if you still are, and I was on Pulaski, right on the corner. You know Pavlik, you know me. When are we gonna find out what happened? Because this, I can tell you, is going to the DOJ. This is going. Finally, I know I have what I need.
I will stand by and defend the Sayreville Police Department. I have found in the 22 years that I've been mayor and 3 years as a councilman before that they provide exemplary service, that they certainly take an oath to serve and protect the people of Sayreville. For every note of criticism that I have ever received on about Sayreville Police, I've received hundreds of notes of compliments. That being said, we are exceeding your time limit, but as I say to people, whether you have issues with me or anything else in the borough, if you feel that something is out of whack or has been done illegally, go right to the prosecutor in New Brunswick. And that would be my recommendation to you.
Yeah,
to go see the prosecutor.
Yeah, all right.
But I will stand by the Sayreville Police Department.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other? Yes, Tom.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Again, Tom Fritzen, 143 Main Street, Sayreville. I have a couple of things. One of the things I noticed a couple of days ago while I was walking down Main Street that the old hardware store is supposedly being rented out and being whacked up into like 5 or 6 different little stores. I'm maybe late to the game on this. Is that true, or?
Jay, do you have any knowledge on that?
Mayor, I'm not aware. There haven't been any applications submitted to the boards for improvements to those buildings. I'm assuming that if they are making improvements, it's being done just through the building department and the zoning office, and it must be permitted by code.
Yeah, because my concern is parking. There's no place to park on Main Street. There's houses, there's businesses, no place to park. And if you're going to put 7 or 8 different stores there, like little mini stores or something like that, parking is going to be like atrocious on Main Street. Also, too, on the Main Street, also, I know I was talking to the sergeant about, the traffic sergeant, about putting lines on the street, parking lines. Because there's no, some people park across my driveway because they don't see a line, or they're not really parking, or you see a big gap between cars and other cars are squished together. If we could space out the cars, you might get a little bit more parking spacing and stuff like that.
I've looked into Tom.
Yeah. And I also know that somebody sent me a letter a couple months ago about revitalizing downtown Main Street. And I called and I said I was interested, and they said, oh, we're not doing that now. We'll call you, I think, in May, and we're into May, and I don't know if there's anybody going to give John a call.
I can only address that through SARA, the SARA Economic Redevelopment Agency. you received that letter from our executive director. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, we had several meetings with residents who had responded to that request to explain more about the ideas that Sarah had for improving the downtown area. If you're interested, Tom, if you could reach out, I'll have our executive director put together an opportunity for you to meet, and we can show you the presentation as well as get your input as well.
Okay, because I did that.
Then I apologize, and we'll make sure that...
And I got the letter, I live on Main Street, so I wanted to make sure I was kind of involved in all of that stuff. I talked to somebody on the phone, and they said, okay, we'll put your name down. They took my number, and they said, we'll get back to you when we're actually going to start doing this. We're not doing it quite yet. And I haven't heard anything. Now you're saying you already had meetings, so...
We did, but we'd be happy to have you come in and talk.
Okay. And the last thing, this is just kind of informational. I was here a couple weeks ago when we did the Operation Snow Cone. The Main Street Theater Company, which got its roots here in Sayreville, we're now over in Old Bridge. We participated. We had some of the readings. Some of our actors come over and read the letters. The person that wrote the actual story, Kristen, I believe her name is, found all the letters, talked to 2 of our members, and we're going to expand on the letters to make it a more viable play, or even possibly musical, because we're looking at somebody making musicals. So we're going to try to hopefully expand on that for the Historical Society, and maybe something we can roll out every Memorial Day or something. We're very interested.
Thank you, Tom.
It was a very good program. Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any other questions or comments? Frank?
Frank Truzino, Canal Street, President of the Historical Society. Mike, thanks for those kind words, and Mike, thank you.
Frank, you need to announce yourself.
I did.
That's a terrible mic.
Yeah, he's a terrible Mike. We had trouble doing our...
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
I'll try it again. Frank
Record
Truzino.
show, Frank Truzino, the town historian.
32 Canal Street, President Sayreville Historical Society. Thanks, Mike, for your kind words, and Tom. And Jay, that's the first I've heard about what's going on up there. So I'm not here to beat a dead horse. I'd rather see it gallop to the finish line. Yes, I'm referring to the first town hall built in 1909. I understand some of the governing body are totally against revitalizing this historic landmark for reasons unknown to anyone on this side of the podium. Over a year ago, this saga started. Unfortunately, it turned into a Cold War with a touch of animosity. Emotions ran high and things went out of control and off the rails. It has been a terrible ordeal with heated debates and uncivil conduct. I personally had to seek help and wound up being under doctor's care. This situation has harmed my health to this day. As a volunteer for almost 40 years in a variety of positions, I feel a little disrespect and I believe I'm on the blacklist for something I did. When tasked with responsibility, I give 100% plus. I jump in with both feet, and I will not apologize for doing my best at any task. I understand this project is overwhelming, complex, to say the least. But there's no reason why the Historical Society has not been in the loop, as expressed to the governing body several times. At this point in time, as leaders of the community and the Historical Society, we need to sit down and talk like real people do. I live by the motto, the mission comes first. We're asking again to sit down one-on-one, a group. We must talk even for 10 minutes, discuss a roadmap, time frames. I'm in no hurry, I'm not pushing time. Stages, what the stages are. You talked about the building inside. We need to force some kind of teamwork or committee together. We need a sense of community. We don't need the sense of being the black sheep of the community. I'm available almost any time, day or night. I cannot harass and constantly bother you guys, hoping someone would step up. As of today, the most I heard is from Jay earlier. I stated in an email a while back, a person would donate storage bins to help pack ROTC, Coast Guard items, and other entities that service that building over the years. If needed, we can put a small army together and help clean. There are historic artifacts the society needs to preserve. These items should not be trashed. I was promised that we would be able to enter the building for those items before construction, and I'm pretty sure that's going to happen by the person that told me. I just want to make sure there's not a midnight cleanup on the horizon. Our membership, residents, and business owners are constantly asking, texting, and calling us what's going on with the firehouse. The silence of the governing body doesn't look good for anyone. As far as the satisfactory inspection done by CME, there were a few items on that list we feel we could save some money and preserve a natural setting. Let's work together and let's go to a ribbon cutting. I see a ribbon cutting, and we're all going to have a drink together. That's how I see it. We're a community. We should stay a community. Other than that, the snow cone project we had on the 3rd, we had over 160 people. It was a total success, and it was very memorial, and it was heart-wrenching. If you want to see it, there's a YouTube video, Cerebral Historical Society presents Operation Snow Cone. Yeah. Cerebral Historical Society presents Operation Snow Cone.
15 seconds, Frank.
Okay. May 17th is History Day in Piscataway. That's where we meet all the contacts with other societies. They put on a good show with Revolutionary Soldiers. They do firing, there's food. It's a good family day. Memorial Day, we're ready for that. Sarah Mansion Tea and Tour is a bus trip. You can contact the numbers on the Cerebral page. So I look forward to working together, and let's do this together.
Thank you, Frank.
I'm gonna go.
Go ahead.
We're finally at the point where we can get you into the building to remove whatever artifacts that you deem necessary, including, I'm sure, the original wooden honor roll for the war veterans, which is in the basement. Contact me during the week. We'll make arrangements so you can assemble a crew from the Historical Society, do your search and remove whatever it is that you deem necessary. And lastly, with regard to the firehouse project, now that the architect and the engineer are close to completing their plans as far as the structural and rehabilitation of the building, the Historical Society will be having a meeting with the architect in order to offer their opinions and guidance in terms of what aspects of historical nature need to be included in the building's renovation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Being no other questions or
Mayor,
comments?
I just want to make one comment if I can. I want to clarify the issue as far as the range is concerned, because I don't want any misunderstandings as far as that non-vote is concerned, at least as far as the way as I'm concerned. That range was built exclusively for the use of the Sayreville Police Department, and it was built for that purpose. Overutilizing that over time is going to deteriorate the area and oversaturate the area. The one thing I want to make sure is that we protect that range and that building so that our officers have the best training facility that they can possibly have. Several years ago, we spearheaded the opportunity to build a permanent building there, not for the use of any other agency, but for the use of our officers. The best way to make sure that our community has the quiet enjoyment of the range, or the quiet enjoyment of the community, is in order to make sure that that range is minimized, use of that is minimized for the officers of the Sayreville Police Department, to make sure that they have full access at all time, and to make sure that they can do the training that's appropriate. So I don't want anyone to misconstrue that we don't want to build a wall, we don't want to do noise cancellation. That wasn't the vote. The fact that we decided not to continue the MOU or any other MOU for the purposes of other agencies coming in was for those two purposes: the quiet enjoyment of our community and to ensure that our police officers have the best facility, and it continues to be the best facility for them throughout the use of the range.
Donna, did you have anything before we close?
No.
Can you do anything with South River?
Okay, with
I hear
that,
them across the river.
with that, I'll take a motion to close the public portion and a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion to close the public and adjourn. Okay, I make a motion to close the public.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone.